Trump. Untold Stories. Episode 5. The Apprentice. The Television Empire. By the early 2000s, Donald Trump was no longer seen as the powerful tycoon who once graced the covers of business magazines. Years of failed ventures, spiraling debts, and relentless tabloid mockery had left his name tarnished. He had gone from being a larger-than-life symbol of wealth and success to a man many saw as a relic of 1980s excess, all flash, no substance. His business empire was faltering, his public credibility was waning, and even in New York, where his name was once a brand of ambition, he was becoming a caricature of his former self. But Trump has always had a sixth sense for spectacle and for survival. Where others saw failure, he saw a camera angle. He knew instinctively that in America, visibility was power, and reinvention was always one media moment away. So while critics predicted he would vanish into obscurity, Trump was preparing for a comeback, not in business, but on television. NBC at the time was searching for its next breakout reality series. They had seen the success of Survivor and wanted a new concept, something that blended competition with real-world stakes. Enter Mark Burnett, the reality TV pioneer who envisioned a show where contestants battled in the boardroom instead of the jungle. The format was ambitious, a group of hopefuls competing in business-related challenges, judged each week by a legendary entrepreneur. Burnett needed someone who embodied business in America, someone with presence, name recognition, and drama. Trump was the perfect fit. But Trump didn't just agree to participate, he took over. He insisted on being the centerpiece, not just a host but the boss. The show would be set in Trump Tower. His name would be everywhere. He would deliver the final word, and his voice would close each episode with a simple, cutting phrase, "You're fired." With those two words, The Apprentice was born. When the show premiered in 2004, it became an instant phenomenon. Over 20 million viewers tuned in to see not just the contestants, but Trump himself, commanding the screen, towering over the boardroom, casting judgment with calculated flair. He wasn't just a businessman anymore, he was television royalty. The production framed him as the ultimate authority figure, confident, commanding, impeccably dressed, and seated in a palace of marble, gold, and glass. It didn't matter how many bankruptcies he had filed. On screen, he was the king. The impact was electric. Suddenly, Trump was everywhere again, not as a punchline, but as a cultural force. The show's success rebranded him almost overnight. America no longer saw the man whose casinos had gone belly up. They saw a no-nonsense leader, a business oracle, a symbol of capitalist success. The irony was, of course, that The Apprentice wasn't showing Trump's actual business decisions. It was a script, a production, but perception often matters more than reality, and Trump knew how to shape perception better than anyone. With his image now polished and powerful, he leveraged the show's success into a business empire built not on skyscrapers, but on branding. Trump licensed his name to everything. Luxury buildings he didn't own, steaks he didn't cook, water he didn't bottle, even a university he didn't teach at. The Trump logo became a promise, not of quality, but of the persona people saw on TV. His name became a product, and The Apprentice was the infomercial. But beneath the ratings and merchandise, something far more profound was happening. Week after week, year after year, Trump was establishing something politicians spend millions to achieve: trust and familiarity. He wasn't a distant mogul anymore. He was a fixture in American homes. He looked into the camera and spoke plainly. He didn't use complex language. He simplified everything, projected confidence, and repeated it until it stuck. Whether people loved or hated him, they knew him. So when Donald Trump descended that golden escalator in 2015 to announce his candidacy for president, he wasn't starting from scratch. He wasn't an outsider introducing himself to the American people. He was already a brand, a presence, a voice they had heard for over a decade. Political experts laughed him off, but they underestimated the power of television. Trump didn't need campaign ads. He had already run a decade-long commercial for himself. While his opponents were drafting policy proposals, he was already in voters' memories. Not as a politician, but as a leader who didn't flinch, didn't apologize, and never lost. The Apprentice had done more than entertain. It had created a mythos. It gave Trump the aura of effectiveness. In that boardroom, he always had the answers. He always made the tough call. He always won. And when he transitioned to politics, he carried that character with him. To many, he seemed decisive, unafraid, in command. And when he promised to drain the swamp or fire incompetent leaders, it echoed the persona he'd crafted on TV. Historians, media analysts, even Trump himself agree. Without The Apprentice, there would be no President Trump. The show didn't just save his reputation, it reshaped American history. It blurred the line between entertainment and politics, between character and candidate. It proved that in the age of media, television wasn't just a platform, it was a launchpad. This episode isn't just about a television show. It's about how image becomes identity, how perception becomes power, and how a man who once lost everything used entertainment to reinvent himself, and eventually, to reshape the highest office in the land. Because in Trump's America, being famous isn't a side effect of success. Sometimes it's the definition of it. Next time we explore how the reality TV icon took his act from the boardroom to the campaign trail, defying political norms and rewriting the rules of American leadership. This is historical figure Donald Trump, Untold Stories. If this episode gave you something to think about, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time as we continue unraveling the man behind the headlines and the myths that made him.